Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and there has been no lack of attention as of late to the activities of the World Economic Forum, and I think that that is at least in part because of the incredible team of 6 independent journalists that we have on the ground in Davos covering the World Economic Forum summit there. You can check out all of their reports at WEFreports.com. You can also check out the Great Reset docu-series that exposed the reset made by our very own Kian Simone that is casting light and breaking down some of the intentions behind this organization and their mysterious, nefarious founder, Klaus Schwab. But despite all this information being out there, despite the fact you can go check out Klaus Schwab's book or check out World Economic Forum resources for yourself, there are still people who are apprehensive and they feel that the ambitions of the World Economic Forum are far off. But are they? There is simply too much information available to carry on pretending like concerns about the World Economic Forum are the stuff of conspiracy theories. In fact, most of the principal concerns about the World Economic Forum from people stem from either written documents directly from the World Economic Forum on official documented websites or from the mouth of Klaus Schwab himself. This is all things that people should be extremely concerned about, including his shocking revelations that 50% of Justin Trudeau's cabinet is World Economic Forum, young global leaders, members of his organization, and that his organization actively penetrates cabinets of governments around the world. This is what they do. For everyone out there and all the conversation that there has been lately about foreign interference in politics and elections, this is the very first place that we should be looking.
So that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And then, despite all of this being very much out in the open with very little effort to conceal it, there are people out there, very many people, in fact, who believe that the activities of the World Economic Forum are very much the pipe dreams of influencers and movers and shakers, but that they're not likely to generate any real change in their own communities, not likely to show up in their own backyard. As I think I'm about to make clear, those people are wrong.
If there's one session very precious for me, it is this one. Because I founded the Global Shapers community just over 10 years ago. And now we have 500 hubs around the world in 500 different cities with over 15,000 active global shapers.
Personally funded by Klaus Schwab himself, the Global Shapers community is a collective, a gathering, and a World Economic Forum initiative comprised of 15,000 influential young adults, influencers, activists, whatever they may be, located in 500 hubs or cities around the world that are focusing on pillars and focusing on shifting society. The 4 pillars that they focus on are climate action, future cities, civic life, and healthy cities. That's right, 15,000 people, and likely a community near you, are working on this. And this is so important to Klaus Schwab that he actually stated, in fact, this year at the World Economic Forum, that whenever he's depressed, presumably from things not going his way on the global stage, he goes to one of these hubs with youth advocates and young adult leaders campaigning for World Economic Forum ambitions, ultimately leading towards the Great Reset. He goes there like some sort of energy vampire to recharge and get back to work.
If I'm depressed, which I rarely are, but then I would go to one of the Shapers Hub and recharge my energy.
Now, you might imagine that these World Economic Forum Global Shapers hubs, as they call them, are in Barcelona or New York or Paris or wherever you're imagining. Certainly not in a relatively small city like Calgary. Well, in fact, they actually are, and they're very likely in a city near you. In fact, there are 22 members of the YYC Shapers organization. You can check this out on their website for yourself. 22 folks working on various initiatives very much in line with the World Economic Forum here in Calgary alone. One of the initiatives being promoted by this group is safe injection sites. Now, they openly admit within their document that crime around safe injection sites tends to increase, that communities can be very adversely affected, that businesses in the adjacent areas can suffer. And worse still, they overtly admit that opioid overdoses actually increase in the areas adjacent to these safe injection sites. Despite all this, and despite the fact that one Albertan is dying every day of this opioid crisis, they argue that this is the compassionate response. I certainly tend to disagree. I think that these people need counseling, therapy, and programs to get them off their addiction and to get back to a normal life. But I must say that I am in no way surprised that an organization involved with the World Economic Forum, in fact, an extension of the World Economic Forum, likes to see people more dependent on government and government-funded programs. That is, in fact, what they want for all of us. It is sad to see that they would apply that policy without compromise to even the most vulnerable members of our society. One of the other initiatives that the Calgary Global Shapers are unsurprisingly in support of is massive expenditure on public transportation infrastructure, even if that expenditure doesn't necessarily make economic sense.
Construction on Phase 1 of the LRT Green Line will begin in Calgary's Beltline and downtown. We're also looking forward to working with the province and the city on Phase 2, which would see the line extended to the north to reach people in this part of Calgary as well. So what does that mean for you? Well, to begin, it means a faster, cheaper commute. No one wants to waste time and money idling in traffic. This will help you get you home to the kids sooner instead of stuck in traffic.
Stage 1 of a 2-stage Green Line LRT is set to begin construction very soon. Now, Stage 1 alone, which consists of about 20 kilometers of track and 15 train stations, in and of itself was originally slated and estimated to cost about $4.9 billion. That's right, $1 billion for 20 kilometers of train track and a couple stations. That's now ballooned to $5.5 billion, and we're sure to see that number continue to increase as work gets underway. I just want to keep in mind and remind you that relative to the population of Calgary, that's about $4,000 for every man, woman, and child in the city. If you go a little bit further and look at how many people actually use public transportation, that number goes way down. We've seen ridership on these public transit systems go down to an all-time low as of late, particularly throughout COVID-19. But it very quickly, with about 140,000 rides a day being used, and keep in mind, this is just one segment of the city. That 140,000 rides a day is total ridership. You're pretty quickly getting into the territory of it being more feasible to buy a Tesla for every single person who might use that train line than it is to go ahead with this ridiculous project. But the World Economic Forum doesn't really care if things don't make sense. They're willing to spend anything to achieve their goals, and they're willing to take it right out of your tax dollars. I reached out to Global Shapers Calgary to ensure that they would have the opportunity to share their side of the story, and if they do decide to respond, we will be sure to include their response as soon as it's available. Now, these are just a couple examples of policies being pushed and shaped by the World Economic Forum in Calgary by a couple dozen people. But if you magnify that influence, if you magnify the work they're doing by the reported 15,000 people who are part of this Global Shapers initiative, you can quickly see just how dramatically this group, as an extension of the World Economic Forum, can be reshaping our society and our day-to-day lives in line with the vision of Klaus Schwab and the intentions of the World Economic Forum. There is a reason that Klaus Schwab says that when depressed, he goes to these hubs to energize. It is because they are effective. It is because they are exacting outcomes in line with the Great Reset. That's why he goes there. And for people who are maybe struggling to buy into this, are struggling to grasp the immensity of the reach and the impact of the World Economic Forum, I encourage you, check out the docu-series at exposethereset.com made by Kean Simone. Check out our reports at WEF Reports from on the ground in Davos with our incredible team of independent journalists. But ultimately, all that I can say to you is that you absolutely have to wake up. Because like it or not, the World Economic Forum is probably already hard at work in your own backyard. I I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. If you haven't already gone to exposethereset.com and watched episode 1 of the docu-series on the Great Reset, what are you waiting for? This video is incredible. There's a reason that it has gone viral. Kean Simone knocked this one out of the park, and Louis Brackpool does an incredible job breaking down the facts, very often directly from the World Economic Forum, on their plans and strategies to reshape the world in line with their vision and the vision of Klaus Schwab. Go watch it now. You won't regret it. It's a great watch. It's not too long. It's extremely informative, and it'll give you an opportunity to really get informed, whether you're an expert or you're new to this topic, on what the plans of the World Economic Forum are for the world. Again, go to exposethereset.com.